Good evening from here, great people. I am Mazi Chika Austin. I most sincerely apologize for coming up to 17 minutes behind the planned time or the publicized time. Is really unfortunate. I was trying to tag my second account, Mazi Chika Austin, in order to go along with our people from that account, but unfortunately Facebook have decided to stand against that plan to tag the other account of mine, so to get people from that particular account to follow up. But be it that is as it may be, we must continue because it is in our nature to continue. Before we go to this evening learning or brainstorming, which has to do with a lot of it has to do with a lot of issues as regards to us as being the Hebrew people. It has been a controversial one. It has really taken a very serious arguments. Even before we are born, people have been arguing. My findings, in the course of my investigation, I've come to realize that before even the Biafran Nigeria war, the argument have really been there. So, but before we continue, please, I want us to confirm if you're receiving us loud and clear from your own end. Very, very important. If you're receiving us loud and clear, I would equally urge us to share this program, because we have a lot of evidences on our disposal to argue in line and also counter the narrative which a lot of people have put front before us. I think one thing we should appreciate is this, that we have, good, thank you, Mazemeni Kenendo. We have a generation of the Biafran people who are now ready to bring what we call historical revisionism. That is reviewing the distorted facts about us as a people. And that is all we are going to do in this program. In the next couple of minutes, we are going to do justice as much as we can to is not issue, one thing with truth, one thing with facts is that when you present facts with emotion, with sentiment, and what I want to say is that when you present falsehood or you present something that is not fact, but because you want to argue in line with in line with what you think the people should swallow hook, line, and sinker, when such argument or when such submission faces counter argument, a strong and evidential counter argument, it fizzles out. That is just the way it is. And that is why all we are going to do this moment, we must remove sentiment, look at issues before us. We are going to leverage our source of information from tripod sources of information as far as anthropology is concerned, as far as history is concerned. And that's why I urge you to share this program, because I want it to get to those folks, who say they are intellectuals, that they have widely consulted different literatures. They have made their investigations and came up with whatever argument or whatever submission they have. So this evening, we are going to present facts. Like I said, we are going to lay hold strongly on tripod fronts. And what are those tripod fronts? We are going to gather our evidences from written sources. We are going to look at oral sources. We are going to, look at archaeological evidences, fossilized evidences. Written sources we are going to consult in order to prove if Igbos have Hebrew blood or Hebrew input in them. The written sources we are going to consult here are some of the literatures people have written, and we are going to look at the Bible, not as a spiritual book, so to say, but we are going to consult Bible here as a historical evidence to buttress our point. Make no mistake about that. We are getting Bible involved, especially the pre-Christian biblical records. I'm talking about what most of us call Old Testament, because we are talking history. We are talking about ancient history of the Igbo people. We are talking about histories that days before the contact with the European. We are talking about 2,000 years history. We are talking about, even before Christ history of the Igbo people. So on that case, we are going to leverage on the biblical account, and all these. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say here is that all those things are going to be consulted, And we are going to look at oral sources. Oral sources are embedded in the folklores, the tales, those stories our parents told us, which was handed over to them by their fathers, like Ufe, as commonly called in Igbo language. Those stories, those songs, they are oral sources. We are going to look at them because they are also an age-long history of a people, but transferred to successful generations in a very wonderful ways, in the folklores, in stories, in tales, and all the rest of them. And we are going to equally lay hold on archaeological evidences. Very, very important. We look at archaeological evidences. Archaeological evidences, we are going to look at. Archaeology has to do with the study of ancient remains. The study of ancient remains, which has to do with dug out remains of the ancient people. But let me say this: archaeological evidences are going to be highly important in our discussion this moment, because there is no how you can talk about the history of people without looking at their ancient remains. Take for instance, were there archaeological evidences in Igbo land prior to now? Yes, you remember in Ibuku there is archaeological exercise that was done in Ibuku, and so many things were excavated, which were pointer of when the Igbo man started existing here on a planet, or this part of the world, so to say. We have equally had archaeological exercises in Nri, and in our further discussions, we are going to see all those things that all those things are clear pointers to our identity, to whom we are. And remember, like some persons would want us to believe in, if you don't know your source, you will definitely lose the guide, the compass to your future. Any people that have lack of respect to their history, to the antecedent, they will definitely lose the compass of their future. That is just the way it is. And such society can never have a successful future. And that's why, thank God for the reawakening. Thank God for the consciousness that is going around all over the places. The young generation of the Igbo nation are beginning to ask questions. Who are we? Where are we coming from? Who are our siblings? These questions are not foolish questions, like some persons would want us to know. They are not foolish questions, because you must first of all understand yourself, like the philosophers will always say, "Oh, ye man, know thyself." Your ability to know yourself is a good pointer to where you're going to. So without wasting our time, we are going to look at, like I told you, we are going to lay hold on secondary sources. We're going to look at primary sources, and we're going to look at other sources as well. So let's look at what a Western scholar or writer said. And he made this statement in the Geographical Journal, volume 9, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in March 1912. And this Western scholar or Western writer, known as Reverend George T. Basden, he was talking about the history of the Igbo people. He was making his opinion on the identity, the history of Igbo people. In 1912, do not forget to note the date. In the year 1912, even before the amalgamation of Northern and Southern Protectorate, before Nigeria was formed, this is what Reverend George T. Bezin said about the Igbo people. And it's very, very important I share it with you. And this is what he said. He said, in tracing the sources of many Igbo customs, the investigator cannot help being struck with the multitude between them and some of the ideas and practices of the Levitical code. The people are intensely religious. That is by Reverend George T. Basden, in the year 1912. This is a Western scholar in 1912. He was talking about his effort to trace the history of the Igbo people. And he said, in tracing the history of many Igbo customs, the investigator cannot help being struck with the similitude between them and the sum of the ideas and practices of Levitical code. And you will agree with me that Levitical code has to do with the Hebrew people, because it is the Hebrew people that have their customs, that have their cultures, their value system enshrined and embedded in the Levitical code. What is Levitical code? If you study the book of Leviticus, being one of the books written by Moses, you will understand that that is where God, from Leviticus to Deuteronomy, God penned down the way of life, what he wants the people to do in the land. In fact, one of the Bible verses said to Moses, say, this is what you will do in that land. I give you a law which you will practice in that land. You understand me? And in Igbo language, they say, omenala. In English language, the instruction was given to the Hebrew people, that which you will do in the land. And the Igbo people say, ihe anyị ga-eme n'ala ahụ. Not ihe a ga-eme n'elu, not omenelu, like we always say, aga hapụ omenala, mewe omenelu. You understand me? So, this is what a Western scholar. Why do we say this? Why are we taking it gradually to start from Westerns, the submission of some Western scholars? We decided to do it this way because, most people, those who said, forget about this Hebrew thing, we are just Igbo people and just Igbo people. Man, the word does not grow by just or your just conception. What pushed the word is evidences before you. And I see nothing bad for us to engage ourselves on mental elaboration. Think across our border in search of whom we are, in search of our uniqueness. So you don't just come up and say, don't mind, we are just Igbo, and that ends it. In such doing, you are just coming with funny story, like some person said their history is that somebody came down from heaven and put shells and released a fowl to scatter it, and that was how they form. Those kind of things don't go. So this is what is Reverend George T. Besdin noted in 1912. He said, there is no how you will be studying. This is a Western writer. Take note of that. In 1912, before the formation of the entity called Nigeria, he made a statement. He said, there is no how you will be digging deep about the custom of the Igbo people. In 1912, that was when he said this, without seeing a resounding input or imprint of Leviticus code. And you know, all over the world, there is no people that practice Leviticus order other than the Hebrew people. You understand me? So when you see these submissions by a Western scholar, then that points you to other things. Let's see if another Western scholar known as J.T. Bazin in his book is equally said, there are certain customs which point to Levitic influence at a more or less remote period. The language also bears several interesting parallels with Hebrew idioms. In 1912, another submission made here by this scholar, another submission made there is that looking at the language, looking at a lot of things the Igbo people do, that there is a similarity of what the Jews are equally doing. Remember, like I said, these are Western scholars who are making this submission. And before I move deep to the discussion of this day, let's look at a very clear thing you could see in the life of the Jews that are equally obtainable in the life of the Igbo man. Take, for instance, the character Abraham in the Bible experienced his success outside his domain. And you will agree with me that when you talk about the most or the extensively traveled people on this planet Earth, you talk about the Israelites and you talk about the Igbos. And one marvelous thing about these two races, we are talking fast here, we are not being sentimental. One marvelous thing about adventurous Israel and adventurous Igbos is this: like Abraham was told by his maker to leave his mother house and his father house to the place he's taking him to, and where evidence have equally proven that the Igbo people, like the Israelites, have traveled wide the earth. And one amazing thing is that 70%, if not 80%, of them who traveled outside their shore remain successful in various geographical locations they find themselves. It's not common to any other race. Like I said, this is a platform for facts, evidence, not emotion. So if another race, I'm talking about another human race, I'm not talking about African race, enjoys this adventurous favor, I stand to be corrected. I wait to see a counter view. I repeat, like the Israelites, so are like Igbos when it comes to adventures and being successful. It is only the Jews or the Israelites you can see virtually in every country of the world, and they are in a strong control of the economy of that society. And same applies to the Igbo people. They are daring, they are adventurous, they are equally industrious, and they have proven to be successful even in foreign land, just like Abraham was known for. So you can understand that there is similitude between these people who are far in the east, I'm talking about Middle East, and these people whose ancestral home is in eastern part of Nigeria. So, despite the place of the blessings attached to the ancestral home, they equally have a blessing attached to them wherever they find themselves. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this a clear pointer that something must be in the lives of these people? Very, very important. So let me come up with, let's look at some of the archaeological evidences, because like I said, evidences are bound, and it's not something we can just finish on one single program. We keep on researching, we keep on, we keep on coming up with evidences. Very, very important. But we are going to show a lot of archaeological evidences. Let me show you something, and I would love us to look at this picture I want to show you. Now, this picture was one of the first currencies used in Nigeria, and it was called penny, British penny. It was 1 penny. And there's something we are going to learn from this currency I'm going to show you. Very, very important. By the time we look at the currency, look at the symbol, then we come back to ask ourselves questions. Very, very important. And the questions we are going to ask ourselves is going to lead us to other mind-blowing questions, which is going to go in the minds of everyone following up this program. I would want us to be liberal in mind. Don't be fixated. Don't be rigid in your mind. Think, because our ability to think makes us different from animals. Like our director always put it up. Very, very important. Our ability to think as a people makes us different from animals. So let's look at archaeological evidence. I'm talking about, when I talk about archaeological evidence, I'm talking about things dug out, things human in the past. Is going to help us so much, because it helps us to know the activities of ancestors, those who were here before us. So I want to show us a very interesting picture now, and I want you to just follow. This picture is going to raise too many questions in our minds, and by the grace of Chukwu Kabiama, we'll be responding to them. God will help us to keep on, exercising. Thank you, Mazi Parker Charles, for joining. I think it's going to help us. It's going to stir up a lot of curiosity, and when curiosity has stirred up, it leads to deeper investigation. So the picture I want to show you is the Nigeria currency prior to this time, before the usage of naira. Let's see this picture is this is the second queen, 1 penny. This is a money used by the colonial government in Nigeria before all of us were born. This money was in the use. This is the back cover, and let's see the front cover. And this is what the front cover looks like. But I want you to take notice of this sign. Very, very important. This sign here. This sign is all we are going to discuss. Remember, this is not Israeli currency. This was Federation of Nigeria, 1959. This money was used in Nigeria in 1959. So, having seen this, we are going to learn a lot of things from this picture. This is money that what I just showed you now is a money that was used in Nigeria in 1959, and a symbol struck my attention, and I want us to once again see the symbol that struck my attention. And this is the symbol that struck my attention. Very, very important. And The first question we have to ask ourselves is this: was Nigeria a Jewish state in 1959? The first question. If no, what was this symbol, Star of David, doing in a currency in Nigeria? And this is where, if you say you are an intellectual, you have to dig deep. Good 18, I have an answer to that question, and it's going to shock you. I mean, it's going to shock you. It's going to turn a lot of things in your head. It's going to turn a lot of things in your head. Let me tell you, if you want to kill a people, you delete their history. They became as useless as cows. And that's exactly the strategy that was used on us as a people. Because we lost connectivity, because we are disconnected from facts, from our progenitors, because there was a conscious and official hashed conspiracies to disconnect us from where we are coming. And we began to reason like animals, because a man who does not have yesterday cannot have today. And a man who does not have today cannot have tomorrow. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow are tripod uniformities that work in pari passu. No one disconnects from his yesterday that will live effectively today, and no one is disconnected with his today that we have tomorrow to live. So we are going to look at this coin, this money again. I told you this money was used in 1959. Just in 1960, 1 year later, Nigeria got her independence. And we are going to see, why was this money used? Was Nigeria a Jewish state as of 1959? If no, what was this Star of David doing? Another question we have to ask ourselves, was Nigeria, because 1959, Nigeria was still under colonial rule. And to the best of my knowledge, it was not a Jewish state that colonized Nigeria. Britain was not a Jewish state. So I don't see reason why Britain should use a Jewish symbol in her colony. It's a simple question to ask. So how come about that this symbol was seen in the colonial Nigerian currency? And that is all we are going to do. Look, this is one of the things, not really all, this is one of the things we are going to, I think I have stirred up so many questions in your mind right now. And that is one amazing thing, because when questions are raised up, you begin to respond to a lot of things. And that is exactly what we are going to do at this very moment. Britain wasn't a Jewish state. Nigeria wasn't colonized as a Jewish state. Then what was a Jewish symbol doing in the colonial Nigeria money? I have the answer to it, and I'm going to share with you why such a thing, was allowed to be. Very, very important. You're going to read along with me, and I think what we are going to read is an eye-opener to a lot of things that happen to us as a people. Some people believe that the best thing to suppress the Igbo man is to disconnect him from his true identity. And of course, they succeeded in doing that damage. Yes, they succeeded because it is as a result of their success that some of us even counter, even when evidences are bound, even when there are proofs. You understand me? You see them countering. You see them countering fast before them. That is the effect of the damage. That is the effect of the damage. So let's look at why that was enshrined in the colonial Nigerian currency. So let's read ahead, because I don't want to read without showing you. These are findings of great people, although somehow they were removed from the popular literatures that you and I could easily access. It was intentionally removed. And that's why you see some persons will say, no, don't talk about we being Hebrew. We are just Igbos, Ndibo, and that ends. Now, ask the person who tells you you are just Ndibo, what are the evidence? He does not even know where to start. He does not know where. Now, you're showing him a clear evidences. He said, no, because there was a systematic and consciously official plan to disconnect this person from his origin. And they succeeded. So, very, very important. Just join us and read along. Now, I think he said, in the ancient stone throne of Obugad, in the palace of Eze of Eri, of Aguleri, is a Paleo-Hebrew writing with cowrie shells. Swastika had also been found in some ancient sites, propping up the question of how such signs could be found among the Igbo. The swastika had been an ancient Hebrew symbol representing the sun and had been found in the reliefs of ancient synagogues in Israel. It was adopted by the Nazis to imply that they were like the sun greater than the Star of David. This Star of David in Hebrews became a British archaeological excavation in Aguleri, 500 feet below ground in 1917. This indicated that the Igbo people are migrants from the ancient city of David, and as a mark of its commemoration, the colonial authorities approved its engraving in penny coin. I think somebody understood those lines anyway. I think somebody understood. In 1959, I repeat, one of the currencies, or 1 penny, so to say, to be specific and accurate, 1 penny of Nigeria that had, and the question we are asking today is, why was the importation of that British symbol? Now, from what we read, something happened. Something happened in a place known as Obugad. Obugad is located in Aguleri. 500 feet below the ground in 1917. In 1917, 500 feet below the ground, the Star of David. You know what 500 feet is? 500. You measure. I studied history in the university, and by extension, I did not necessarily a deep course, but a peripheral course on archaeology. You discover the years of human inhabitation in a society on a pattern that those artifacts were gotten. What I mean now, if you dig 100 feet and you get a spoon, and you dig another 200, and you dig another extra 100 feet, making it 200, you get, what it shows is that 200 feet is, and this feet is a kind of dating formula based on strata. If you did archaeology, history, you will understand what I'm saying. And by extension, if you did anthropology, you will understand what I'm saying. So you measure first on the soil strata, very, very important. It's part of the dating formula. And 500 feet below the earth in Aguilera in 1917, just 3 years after the formation of Nigeria, because Nigeria was amalgamated in 1914, that there was an archaeological excavation the earth, and the symbol of Star of David was found. And as a result of that the British colonial government said that these people are the Jews. No doubt about it, because they have nothing to do with the Jewish people. How come about that this Jewish symbol was found in their habitation 500 feet and in 1917? And in order to recognize that unique identity of the Igbo people, the Hebrew in the Igbo people, they inscripted the symbol of Star of David penny that was used in 1959. And that was how this symbol was enshrined in Nigeria, Federation of Nigeria, in 1959. And this was official recognition of the Jewish identity in Igbo man by the British colonial government. These are just few of archaeological evidences we could prove to you. They all abound. And like I said earlier, you don't present lies with sentiment, it won't last. And that's why all we are doing possibly is to make sure our people see facts, see evidences. Like what we saw is not done by Mazen Namdekal, neither is it done by IPOB. This is a penny, one penny that was used in 1959. By then, Namdekanu was not born, IPOB was not born, you and I, we are not born. But because heaven mandated us to dig deep, and we take it as a responsibility to unearth our identity and be proud of it. And that's why we are doing this. And we owe nobody any apology. In fact, we laugh at anyone's stupidity who comes up and tries to, talk off point without evidences. So I have shown you one among them. And let me shock you a bit for those of you who ignorantly argue who argue disproportionately. Let me show you another shocking evidence. Before I do this, I wish we could go to, if you have your Bible here, you can just open Exodus 39 verse 6 to 7. Now, there was something that happened while the people were moving. Very, very important. Exodus, today is church. And where is church? Today is Sunday, I mean to say. So this is good we teach about this, because some people just talk, we are Christians, we go to church, but they lack the understanding of the fact that they are, by creation, they are the oracle of God. Most of my brethren lack this understanding. When we say Nwa Chineke, People don't understand. It's not by fantasy. It's not by making you to be happy. By creation, by the oracle our ancestors came in with, we are Umu Chineke. Not by conversion, you know, not by conversion, but by birthright. You understand me? Because it's just like most people, Christianity is all anyway. But what we are talking predates Christianity. What we are talking predates the canonical writings. We are talking about ancient history. Ancient history that predates canonical writings. So if you don't love history, you will not appreciate this. And your inability to love history nor to appreciate it is none of our error, because amazingly I discovered that why our people, our fathers were coming here from where they were coming from. I discovered that mismultitude. Don't be shocked when we say not all the Igbos or the Igbo people are Jews or have Jewish blood, because it's equally happened in Israel when they left Egypt. Mismultitude, Bible made it obvious, a mismultitude followed them. So you could as well look at the eyeballs of the covenant children, like some people we would want to say, Igbo be Igbo, and understand whom they are. And you could as well see the blood of mismultitudes. You can equally see them when you see a Ephilefus. Some of these Ephilefus, why some? So let's not really digress much from our discussion. So I have shown the coin, very, very important. I have shown the coin. Let me equally show you another thing that was discovered in Igbo land. I'm not telling you in Middle East, in your land, in our land. But all these things were intentionally removed from your sight, because they understand that any day you pick up the consciousness of it, that day you begin to ask questions. Mazen Namdekani is doing what he's doing today because he realized this uniqueness that was hidden from us. He discovered it in UK. He asked questions and he got the answer. And you see him today going angry, going mad, over sons of the master are turning out to be slaves. You understand me? So let's because of our time, let's show you another thing, because I told you to go to the book of Exodus 39 verse 6 and 7. You talk about there you see about what is called onyx stone. Onyx stone was the stones that symbolize the number of the tribes of Israel. And something happened in Igbo land. And of course, this thing happened in 1997. If I call date, you put down so that later you make your own research. It happened in 1997. And what was that? That international, very, very important you read along with me. In 1997, International Director of King Solomon Sephardic Federation, Mr. Yizhad David Israel, with a team of visitors to Bugad Temple of God in Aguleri in November 1997, discovered an inscription of God in Oni stone. Where you will read about the Oni stone is in Exodus 39, verse 6 to 7, which was a type of, translucent quad used to engrave the names of the sons of Israel as the Lord commanded Moses regarding the ephod that was the priestly garment. Do you understand that? That in November 1997, that the inscription of God was seen in Oni stone in Aguleri. And this is the Oni stone. Inscription of God was found in the Oni stone in Igbo land. Of course, this is of a later history anyway, later date, because it's just 1997, which is yesterday. Now ask yourself a question. An inscription of God was seen in Oni stone in Obugad Temple of God in Aguleri. Who inscribed that? And why would Igbo man, take note of this, why would Igbo man be inscripting, why would the ancestors be inscripting or coming with an item or be found with an item that God was inscripted on in Igbo land if it has nothing to do with God, who happens to be one of the sons of Jacob? You can now appreciate what is lying untapped, unnoticed in your ancestral home. But nobody wants you to talk about it. Nobody wants you to discuss about all these things. Like I told somebody I was discussing with today, I said to the person, in Arochukwu, we have a temple. We have a temple. We have a synagogue anyway, so to say. And all these things, to talk about it, nobody wants you to take a further studies on them. Why? Because they understand any day you have the understanding of your Jewish identity, that day you begin to think aright. Very, very important. They know this. They know this. They understand this. Yes, they understand this. They understand it. If for most of us who have not taken time to study a man known as Olaude Equiano, he wrote his book. He's one of the Igbo slaves, but he wrote his book in 1789. He was a slave captured in Igbo land, Olaude Equiano, and was taken to Britain as a slave. He wrote about in 1789, at the ending part of 18th century, even before the formation of Nigeria, an Igbo man wrote an account of his people in Britain. Olaude Equiano, go and search for that book and read. He said, I wish I could get one of his quotations. Very, very important. I wish I could get it. So that I read what he said. Very, very important, so that we can appreciate what he said. One of the things. Okay, yes, I think I have one. Now let's see what Olaude Equiano said. In 1789. 1789 was before Nigeria anyway, and many years back. Look at what he said. This guy, as of that time, has never known about Jews, Hebrews. He was picked from the village. He went. I read about him. I read about him in the university, and I read how his home, how his community was invaded. And they were him and the sister. They were taken to for slavery. I mean to say, and all these things. So in 1789, when some of these internet educationists come up and start talking what they don't know, you laugh at sometimes because evidences are bound, but unfortunately people are lazy. People just want to exhaust 200 naira and talk rubbish without knowing anything. Look at what Olaude Ukwano said. Very, very important because it will help you. Now look at when he was making the account of his people, the Igbo people, he said, "We practice circumcision like the Jews." This is 1789. "And made offering and feast on the occasion in the same manner as they did. Like them also, our children were named from some event, some circumstance, or fancied foreboding at the time of their birth. I was named Olauda, which in our language signify vicissitude or fortunate. Also, one favored and having a loud voice and well spoken." Olaude Ukwano, in his book The Life of Olaude Ukwano, or Gustavus Vassa, the African. So when you go deep, yes, when you go deep on him, on his account, on account of Olaude Ukwano, he pointed out obviously in 18th century, before the formation of Nigeria, the Jewishness of an Igbo man, the Leviticus practices of our ancestors. Doesn't that shock you? Isn't that a shock to you? That a man in 18th century, late 18th century, have given you information of what was obtainable in Igbo society. Then you who managed to study in UNAWO with several strikes, if ASU didn't go, SAS will kill a student, then it will lead to strike. Or police will another police will kill a student, it will lead to strike. Then when you manage and come out after 5 years without electricity to reserve, you start arguing out of order. We are Igbos. All we know is that I win Igbo. And man, it's really shameful. Very, very shameful. Very, very shameful, I must say. So we must continue because our time is fast running out. And we must continue because we're very important. It's in our nature to continue. So when you see all these things, and yet somebody, Britain acknowledged, other evidences acknowledged, and yet somebody wants you not to think on that line. Now the question I want to ask is this: who actually is afraid and who does not want the Igbo man to identify with his Jewish nature? It's really a question we want to ask. And that is we're going to talk, then we call it a day. Who actually is afraid of Igbo man identifying with his Jewish identity? Ask yourself this question. Why is it that some people are comfortable to hear the Yorubas? They are from Egypt. And nobody wants to panic. Why is it that when the Fulani say they are from Arabs, nobody wants to panic? Everybody is just comfortable with that. Nobody wants to say, no, don't say that. Nobody wants to sponsor media campaign against that. Nobody wants to sponsor intellectual campaign against that? Why is it that when Igbo man said he's a Jew, there's vicious circle campaigns against that? It's a question we have to ask ourselves. Ka ihe merụ ndị ofe mmanụ si na ha si Egypt, onwere onye na-adị a panic, onwere onye ọ na-abụrụ okwu. I said, okay, we agreed. Ndị Fulani si na ha si Arab, nobody wants to feel threat. Why is it that oge ọbụla mena gị si na iwum Israel enweghị ihe mkpali n'akụkụ dị iche iche? Ask yourself this question, and the ability to answer that question will help you to be proud of what they don't want you to be proud of. These guys understand that if we build a relationship with the state of Israel, if we move close to our Jewish identity, if we identify with our cousins across the Mediterranean, that day we will stand out to demand and project ourselves. They understand that, and they don't want that. For your information, a state, I'm talking about, when I talk about a state here, I'm talking about a country. A country can consciously sponsor a campaign to delink a people from their true identity. It does happen. For those of you who are watching us from United States, take a time to research about a place known as Bikini Atoll. I think it's a part in Western Hemisphere where America evacuated the people. This, our people must understand this. A state can sponsor a literature campaign, a media campaign to make sure you don't identify with your true identity. And you begin to read junks. In fact, Britain did it. And that's why the currency they used in 1959, which bear Jewish symbol, as a result of the Star of David, they dug 5 feet in Igbo land. They removed it and made sure we don't talk about our... In fact, Henry Kissinger, go and Google about Henry Kissinger. He is a former American Secretary of the State. He says something, he said, the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa. It's documented, it's written. Henry Kissinger, former United States Foreign Secretary, or Secretary of State. He said, the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa. Like I told you about Bikini Atoll, America evacuated the people and used their land as a continuous testing of nuclear weapons. And American government tried all she could to remove from the minds of these people from Bikini Atoll, from thinking about their identity to that land. So most of us today have been mentally washed out of their true identity. You understand me? Nigeria government, through the educational system, by making sure that in history, like I told you, I studied history in the university, I never came across that in 1959, the currency, the Confederation currency that was used, that there was a Jewish symbol, and nobody told me that it was as a result of the finding of Jewish Star of David in Aguleri, 500 feet below the soil of Igbo land. below the soil in Igbo land that led to the inscription of that in that currency? Nobody told us. You see that the federal government consciously removed that. British government consciously removed that. And that's why we cannot think, because we lost our true identity. Finally, in the next session, we are going to look at the issue that has to do with skin color, because people would love to ask that question. If we are Jews, why are we black? Yes, we are going to look at that, and a lot of things are going to come up, because believe you me, we are researching. We are researching, and it's hard time. We say the truth the way it is. Yes, it's hard time we say the truth the way it is. So I want to thank us for joining us. And in the next program, Chukwu Kabema will help us, helping us to do more. From here, I want to say good night.